Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank the PMSA for bringing us here together once again this year. This is the largest group we have ever assembled for a State of the Port. Thank you. I would especially like to thank Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti and his Board of Harbor Commissioners led by our President, Jamie Lee, for their steadfast support and guidance over the past year. Thank you. And to our dedicated Harbor Department staff, the women and men who work around the clock 365 days a year to make everything happen, thank you. It is an honor to deliver my 5th State of the Port address. Over the years, I've really come to value this gathering. It is a time to celebrate all that we've accomplished. Delivering this year's address is a special honor for me because 2020 is the perfect year to take stock of how far we've come, to talk about where we're going next, and to reaffirm to everyone that the state of our port is stronger when we act together because we're all connected. We're connected by our common history, and 2020 underscores just that point. Back in 1985, following the 23rd Olympiad, Los Angeles Mayor Tom Bradley and Port General Manager Easy Burtz embarked on a landmark plan to make our port the nation's leading trade gateway. They recognized the advantages of our harbor, with its deep water and ample space to create new landfill in the Outer Bay. With studies forecasting dramatic long-term growth in the Pacific Rim trade, they asked how we could best position our port to maximize jobs and commerce for the region, state, and nation. That was the impetus for creating the 2020 plan. A few among us were around back then and can share a bit about the history of the plan. Let's take a look.
I think the vision of the leaders 30 years ago were that the port was a great economic engine. And in order to maintain that engine, we needed to develop and accommodate the cargo that was anticipated. And that's why the 2020 plan was created. Back in the 80s, we didn't have any rails, any on-dock facilities on our container terminals. We envisioned on-dock rail. What changed with the 2020 plan is we created mega terminals. That was never envisioned before. We had these smaller blocks of land.
The 2020 program started under the direction of the Mayor, Tom Bradley, and the Executive Director, Easy Burtz, and it was actually completed during the Mayor, Richard Riordan, and Executive Director, Larry Keller.
The 2020 plan was actually probably one of the biggest recycling programs we've ever had in the nation. It's called beneficial reuse of materials. That's what created all this new land, was deepening the channels, reusing the materials in a very sustainable development.
Approximately 8 million tons of rock was brought in from Catalina Island. Approximately 52 million cubic yards of dredge material from the main channel to create about 590 acres of landfill.
When you look at the magnitude, the complexity of the coordination, that's what we call a mega program because of all the different moving parts that had to come together in a very short period of time.
There were approximately 45 different projects. The major ones were the Pier 300 container terminal, Pier 400 container terminal, and the infrastructures such as Badger Avenue Bridge. I became the project manager for the Badger Avenue Bridge and subsequently the Pier 400 program.
Today, we have computer-aided drafting and design tools. If you look at the tools we had, we were still using our scales and drafting paper and erasers. It's amazing where we've come to today. In
1984, the annual container throughput was around 900,000 TU, and today we are over 9 million TUs, an increase of tenfold.
The 2020 plan definitely put us in the position to be the #1 container port in the nation. Currently, we're actually looking at a 2040 plan. A 2040 plan gives us a new roadmap to keep the port competitive.
In the era of T-cards and telex machines, to even say the words 2020 plan would have sounded like something out of a sci-fi movie. But Tony, Sean, and hundreds of port employees, consultants, along with civic leaders, turned the 2020 plan from a blueprint into the engineering marvel that you see today. Over the decades, a robust maritime industry has flourished on the foundation of those unprecedented infrastructure projects. Take the Alameda Corridor, for example. The 20-mile below-grade rail corridor to the major inland rail yards was a monumental effort. It ushered in a new era of port connectedness with a host of inland cities, chambers, and organizations like the Southern California Association of Governments. It positioned us, via our railroad partners, as America's most vital trade gateway. John Doherty has led the success of the Alameda Corridor as its chief executive officer. He is retiring after 17 years. John could not be here with us today, but I would like to acknowledge and thank him for his commitment to our mission. The bold vision of the 2020 plan, coupled with the support and participation of our customers and supply chain partners along the way, transformed us into America's port. Over the decades, as an international trade order was established and China entered the World Trade Organization, the 2020 plan positioned us to handle double-digit cargo growth and capture market share. Along the way, there were challenges, and in response, we developed a way to work. We encounter a challenge, we collaborate to address it, and we transform for the better. For example, by 2005, years of cargo growth created air quality issues, so much so that we had to sideline terminal development for a number of years. Together, we recognized the challenge of reducing port-related emissions. Together, we collaborated on the San Pedro Bay Clean Air Action Plan, and together, we transformed our role as environmental stewards. Years ahead of other major U.S. ports, our Clean Air Action Plan works towards society's expectations for a responsible and sustainable global supply chain. For all we have accomplished together, ports and regulatory agencies worldwide recognize us as America's leader in this critical area. Another example came just 5 years ago, when we were challenged with the perfect storm of port congestion. Every link in this industry partnered together in response to that crisis. Our collaboration continues to transform our ability to move cargo through this port. Today, we not only serve the largest ships in the U.S. global trade, we own the world record for the most container moves per ship at more than 24,000 20-foot equivalent units. In what the Journal of Commerce called the triple play, 13,000 TEU ships were worked simultaneously at Pier 400, resulting in more than 38,000 containers exchanged over an 8-day period. APMT's Pier 400 on-dock rail facility also holds the U.S. record for build and depart of the longest intermodal train ever, more than 2.6 miles in length, carrying 561 containers. Over the past 35 years, we have recognized the cycle of challenges, collaboration, and transformation. And today, we have new challenges. Most recently, the weaponization of tariffs and the debilitating trade war. Even with a Phase 1 trade deal now inked with China, the use of trade taxes to advance policy may now be the new normal. This past year, we commissioned a study to inject data into the national conversation about the scope and reach of the trade war. We thought Americans needed to know what these policies put at risk. $186 billion in trade value and 1.5 million jobs, with economic impacts to each of our 435 congressional districts throughout the nation. From agriculture to chemical manufacturing, machinery and automotive exports, this trade war has especially hurt a number of California's business sectors. Manufacturing shifts from China to Southeast Asian nations have also redirected some of our cargo through the Suez Canal to East Coast ports, costing us further market share and jobs. Trade and economic uncertainties have also sidelined significant private investment. At a time when America needs $66 billion in port-related infrastructure upgrades. As private investment subsides, we must advocate for public investment in America's freight system through robust, dedicated funding for ports and our fair share of the harbor maintenance tax revenue. These are uncertain times, but we've been here before. And as we have with every challenge we've faced, we will collaborate and we will transform. We have seen 14 consecutive months of declining exports. That is a challenge. So we are collaborating to adapt to new trade patterns, aggressively pursue export markets, and continue to innovate, challenge, collaboration, and transformation. In that spirit, we would like to expand our collaboration with the Port of Long Beach through a new memorandum of understanding focused on increasing the competitiveness of our shared gateway. The fact that America's two largest and most competitive ports routinely work together on so many critical fronts really underscores our shared commitment to lead and succeed. Thank you, Rick Cameron and the Port of Long Beach staff that are with us here today. The way we responded to the events of 2019 made a huge difference. Because of the great work of our Los Angeles Marine Terminal operators, supply chain partners, and longshore workforce, we came within 5,000 container units of delivering the second best year in our 113-year history. Over the last 3 years, container volumes stand as the most productive 3 years of any U.S. port in history. As we meet here today, we look back to a generation of leaders who set us on the road to success some 35 years ago. Thanks to the inheritance that they left us, no one can match our service offering, and no other port in the Americas is better positioned to grow our cargo volume. The 2020 plan was a bold vision, and now it's our turn to set our own courageous course toward the future. That's going to take collaboration, and that collaboration starts right now. This is the year that we take bold steps to improve drayage efficiency and turn times. Today, I am proud to announce that in the coming weeks, we will bring to our board the nation's first ever Terminal Efficiency Incentive Program, including a new Port of Los Angeles truck reservation system. With great foresight of our terminal operating community, depending on the percentage a terminal can reduce their truck turn times, they will be monetarily rewarded on each container unit. The higher the percentage of reduction, the bigger the reward. The program is expected to improve drayage efficiency and further reduce truck turn times here at the Port of Los Angeles. As most of you know, our team has been working actively on developing an off-dock chassis yard solution. Houston Terminals has developed a near-dock chassis staging area, and we are negotiating with Pacific Crane Maintenance Company to develop an off-dock facility to complement APMT's operation. We are making progress, but we need your support. This is the year to make it happen. This is also the year to accelerate our digital transformation. And it's critical that we all act with a sense of urgency to digitize our supply chain. The stakes are high. The cost of delay is too much to bear, and the ROI is too good to ignore. Digital transformation is the future of seaborne trade. Pushing it off will put us at risk of further competitive loss. Here at our port, the goal is simple: to master the interconnected physical operations by connecting all of our digital operations. And the first step in that is our digital transformation in the establishment of our port community system, the Port Optimizer. It is a port community system like no other. It is a system of systems built on the United States Customs data, designed to digitize and harness the critical information that underpins our complex and dynamic supply chain. Over the past year, we harmonized the carrier data that now covers 95% of our containerized imports. 9 of the top 10 carriers are now feeding data into the Optimizer, and all of our Los Angeles marine terminals are connected. And port community systems like ours are at the core of smart ports around the world. These systems have optimized cargo flow for years at large and small ports alike. Rotterdam has a port community system. So does Hamburg, as do Shanghai, Antwerp, Prince Rupert, even ports in Morocco and Tunisia. Soon, all of these ports will have a way to share data with one another and with us. Moving towards this new reality, Wabtec, our digital partner in the Port Optimizer, is participating with TradeLens, one of the industry leaders in blockchain, to explore end-to-end supply chain data integration. Wabtec is also working on digital connectivity with CargoSmart, a collaboration that will further encourage openness and innovation. All the key players in the industry will be there. Internationally, there is also tremendous interest in understanding how we can combine data from different systems to optimize point-to-point routes and the global supply chain at large. To that end, in 2019, we signed an agreement with the Copenhagen Malmö port to share advances in port optimization and environmental strategy. We're also partnering with our sister port in Nagoya, and just last month, we announced an MOU with the Indonesia Port Corporation to collaborate on digital supply chain strategies. We recognized long ago, for collaboration between leading ports of the world, it was a must. And that's why we led the development of Chainport in partnership with the Hamburg Port Authority, and why we're building a global network of like-minded smart ports. Smarter also means safer, and that's why we intend to lead the maritime data protection movement. The nature of cybersecurity is that the bad guys don't rest, and they never give up. We have to stay one step ahead of them at all times. Building on the success of the highly effective Cybersecurity Operations Center, our CSOC, in the coming weeks, we will again go to our board with a proposed partner for the development of our Cyber Resilience Center. Once approved, we will work with stakeholders to shape the effort and bring the center online in 2021 to serve as a neighborhood cyberhood watch to protect data flowing through our port community. Over the years, we've earned your trust as stewards of the physical infrastructure. Today, we are committed to earning your trust as stewards of our digital infrastructure as well. The direction we are taking with the Port Optimizer and the Cyber Resilience Center is only made possible through our collaboration with so many of the cargo partners who are here with us today. The liner companies, the Los Angeles Marine Terminal operators, the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, the Western Railroads and the PHL, and our drayage community. We would like to thank all of you for the trust you have placed in us. Together, we can leverage our data to deliver the highest level of efficiency and value to our customers. And if we lead the nation in this critical area, we will continue to be America's port for the future. In the years ahead, we will also work with communities and stakeholders across the state to create what we call a connected California. California may have the world's 5th largest economy, but we are not immune to trade conflicts. There are parts of the state that need stronger connectivity to global markets. To that end, we want to help our agriculture exporters in the Central Valley to regain lost market share and expand their businesses by shipping more efficiently and to more markets through the Port of LA. We will also work with our partners in the Inland Empire as they create a center of excellence that drives new, sustainable vision for goods movement for our region, creating good jobs and careers, enhancing California's competitiveness with the goal of creating a positive impact on our surrounding communities. These are the first steps to a connected California. This year, I became the new chair of the California Association of Port Authorities. We are joined today by Jeff Weiss, CAPA's new executive director, and Martha Miller, our California State Director. Thank you both for being here today. In partnership with CAPA and our state's other public port authorities, we are positioning to advocate for California as the nation's largest state for global trade. It's time we start punching at our own weight. We will be more active than ever in shaping public policy, working at the state, national, and international levels to secure a more prosperous future. Doubling down on port efficiency, building our port community system, the Port Optimizer, and advocating for better policy and infrastructure. As we move into a new decade, these are the actions we will take to remain and innovate as America's port. And when we encounter challenges, and we will continue to collaborate and work together to transform them into opportunities. As all of us here are connected by our vision for the port for the future, and at the heart of that is a vision and a new way to think about the future of work. Our ports represent 1 in 9 jobs throughout Southern California. More than 1 million people go to work every day in jobs connected with our supply chain. We offer outstanding jobs and careers at all levels of training and experience, and we never take that for granted. The jobs of the future will be increasingly technical. They'll demand more specialized training. And that's why, as envisioned by our late Commissioner Dave Arian, we will take an active role in developing the human capital we will need to enhance our port's competitiveness. Construction, healthcare, and other industries have spent decades coordinating efforts to provide training and career pathways. Our industry must step up its own efforts. While different workforce training programs, courses in trade and logistics are sprouting up throughout the region, these efforts need better coordination. To connect these important initiatives, we will continue the efforts of the Port of Los Angeles HR Directors Cohort that I announced right here last year. We will work with like-minded employers to create career opportunities. But we also must work with our labor partners, who have decades of experience in workforce training and helping their members adapt to changes in technology. We have made great strides in working with the ILWU and the Pacific Maritime Association to identify training programs for the men and women of our longshore labor groups. In fact, as an outcome of discussions over the past summer, we now have a tentative agreement with the PMA on an initial training site for the Maritime Training Center at the Port of Los Angeles. In addition, next week we will launch a new Port of Los Angeles Labor Collaborative. It will provide a forum for labor representatives across the port community to discuss initiatives and learn from each other. Under the broader workforce development umbrella, you can help us as well. In the weeks ahead, many of you will receive a survey. The goal of the survey is to identify your organization's future employment and training needs so we can support you in preparing your workforce for the future. This survey is part of a wider study of ports on 3 continents, led by the International Human Capital Working Group. Your input is vital, because there is nothing more important than people and making sure that we have the workforce to drive our collective future success. Our vision for the future also includes a thriving waterfront and port community. To that end, 2020 will be a big year for our visitor-serving waterfront. We will put shovels on the ground to begin construction of the San Pedro Public Market and the long-awaited Wilmington Waterfront Promenade. While our attractive waterfront improves local quality of life, it also builds tourism and stimulates further economic development. And no one understands and supports the exciting evolution of our LA waterfront more than 15th District Councilman Joe Buscaino. The economic revitalization that Joe has led should serve as a model for other cities, especially now as he takes the mantle as the president of the National League of Cities. Joe, thanks for your leadership. Momentum also continues to build at Alta-Sea, our future hub of ocean innovation. Alta-Sea's educational initiatives reached over 4,500 youth last year, and their numerous fundraising successes included a $5 million gift from Richard and Melanie Lundquist. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Lundquist, who is here with us today. Thank you for your commitment to the important work at Alta-Sea to develop our blue economy. A true champion. Just as Alta-Sea is a leader in our local nonprofit and educational community, our Community Investment Grant Program has created a channel for supporting nonprofit activities that highlight maritime and cultural aspects of our port. Over the past 4 years, some great success stories have come out of this program. Here are just a few of the 30 nonprofits that benefited from last year's grants.
Since 2013, the Port of Los Angeles has invested $1 million a year in more than 60 local organizations to support community projects focused on local workforce development, education, the environment, and promoting the LA waterfront.
The Port has been a partner with EXP since we began at Phineas Banning High School in fall of 2000. Today, we support 12 high schools and 20 academies across a variety of industries.
This is the Wilmington Art Walk. We started 4 years ago. We had a one-block event with 20 vendors. Since then it's grown. Now we have 88 vendors. We're 2 blocks. It's a community event where we invite artists out to showcase their work and also to bring life to Avalon Boulevard.
So the grant that we received from the Port of Los Angeles is helping to directly support the work we do here at the hospital in San Pedro. Our hospital takes care of approximately 1,500 injured birds a year.
The Volunteer Center South Bay Harbor, Long Beach, we've actually been a nonprofit since the 60s, and this program that we're doing here today, Operation Teddy Bear, it's the 25th anniversary year this year, so it's a very special year, and we're going to be giving more than 4,000 school bags to low-income first graders in all of those areas that I mentioned that we serve.
We are doing a welcome reception where we're welcoming about 100 members of the Navy to give them a great welcome here, to do a taste of Wilmington. It is grants like these that make these events possible. It's a partnership between us and our community and the Port of Los Angeles that allows us to do these events, and we are so thankful for them, and hopefully we can continue to receive those grants so that we continue to do the great work for our community.
The Port of Los Angeles Community Investment Grant Program is another way that we strive to make a difference and connect to our communities.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you do business here at the Port, you make these grants possible. And I know every one of us is very proud of that. The grants are just one of the ways that you are connected with our local community. Thank you. When we talk about our long-term vision for America's port, we must also discuss our Clean Air Action Plan. The CAP demonstrates what we can do when we work together with our customers, our stakeholders, and our outstanding partners at the Port of Long Beach. In 2020, our ports will finalize the clean truck rate. As proposed, it would collect nearly $90 million in annual fees to replace older, more polluting trucks. Our goal with the clean truck rate is to accelerate emissions reductions without jeopardizing cargo volume or jobs. We will also make sure the trucks currently in operation remain clean by working with the California Air Resources Board to develop a smog check program focused specifically on drayage trucks. To meet our long-term clean air goals, we are currently working on 16 zero and near zero emissions projects to identify cost-effective emissions reduction with commercially available technology. And right now, we are testing 78 ZE drayage trucks and 74 ZE yard tractors. We're also working with customers and the Air Resources Board to test 8 new ZE top handlers, the first of their kind in the world. In addition, we are working closely with the ocean carriers and the harbor craft operators to test new equipment that will reduce ship emissions. Through our technology advancement program and with the support of our regulatory partners, we will add even more initiatives to our roster in 2020. Those will include a large-scale drayage demonstration project, including a fleet of 50 to 100 ZE trucks. No port in the world is doing more than we are in the area of testing and transitioning to zero and near zero emissions technologies. And we are extremely thankful to our customers, to industry leaders like Toyota, and to our regulatory and environmental stakeholders for helping us chart the course towards a new ZE future. When the 2020 plan was first announced, it might have seemed like a moonshot, and in a way it was. What we accomplished over the past 35 years is the foundation for the success that we enjoy today. We have fulfilled the vision of the 2020 plan. We are a global leader, the only U.S. gateway among the world's top 10 largest ports. The decade ahead will be another defining chapter in the history of our port. As we move together into a year highlighted by political and global uncertainty, we truly are at an inflection point. How we respond to challenges ahead of us will define the future, not just the future of the port, but of our surrounding communities, our regional and national economies, and the millions of jobs connected to what we do. We are just beginning the development of a 2040 plan. 2 decades from now, the landscape of our port will be as different as we are from 1985. This will be a port where everything is networked together. A smart port that will support an even larger business community. It will be cleaner and more sustainable, use energy in a more efficient manner. A port that is an industry model for environmental stewardship. A port that provides great economic value for the region and great jobs and careers for the people of Los Angeles and beyond. The path to that begins with the steps that we take now, the steps that we will take together. As we look to the year ahead, I am proud to report that the state of the Port of Los Angeles remains strong. We are world leaders, tough, innovative, determined. 20 years from now, in front of an audience of leaders that will likely include graduates from ESP and our other school programs, someone will step up to deliver the 2040 State of the Port Address. On that day, she or he will point to us and to this very day, and they will say, those men and women, the leaders in 2020, they had a vision, a focus on collaboration. They had the conscience and the courage to reimagine and redefine our port and our industry. And on that day, they will further say, those people, they were the ones that passed the torch and left us with a powerful inheritance. Let's prove them right. The future success of our port depends on the actions that we take this year and in the years to come. Let's mark this decade with the achievements that define us as the best port in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to work together on these new initiatives, pushing forward. Let's continue to prove to the world how great this Los Angeles port community really is. Thank you very much.